Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Newfound Happy Hour. I just wanted to start off episode 2 by saying thank you to everyone who sent nice messages and comments. I really was not expecting that. I thought a couple of friends and family would listen and that would be it. But yeah, I got a lot of really nice messages, so thank you. If this is your first time listening, my name is Sarah and I'm 27. I live in Newfoundland. I was born here. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things relating to Newfoundland, the social scene here, different local businesses, people doing cool things. And I'm really excited for today because this is something I feel like a lot of the times I'm not going to know that much about the person I'm talking to, or not necessarily them, but what they do for work or their experiences. But what we're talking about today is something that I do know a little bit about. So coming on later is Emily and Cassi from Cheersport Sharks Newfoundland. And I've actually known both of them for many years because I've been involved in cheerleading since I was 12. So I actually had to write down the years that I was in cheerleading and the teams because I did it for over 10 years they all blend together and I don't remember. I also just want to say too that if cheerleading isn't your thing, and you might not want to listen to this episode, maybe give it a chance and just pretend that we're talking about your favorite sport, because it's not just talking about cheerleading. It's talking about being a young woman opening a business and kind of the culture here when it comes to different sports and activities. I'm also going to try and give a little bit of a crash course so that you kind of know what we're talking about, because cheerleading changes a lot every year. The scoring for it changes, usually, to put it simply. So to just explain it a little bit, there is scholastic cheerleading, which is school teams. So here in Newfoundland, we have that from elementary all the way up to senior high school. And then we do have university cheerleading. So MUN has a team here. And then there's All-Star, which ranges from all different ages. So there's mini, which is your really young kids. There's youth, which I think is 7 to 11. Junior, which is 12 to 15, 16, and then senior, which is 16 until 19, I believe. I'm out of the loop. I've been out of this for 2 years, so I'm not sure if that's exactly correct, but that's the gist of it. And then you do have your open teams, which can have adults over the age of 19 on it as well. And then levels range from levels 1 to 7, 7 being the hardest. And we've had teams in Newfoundland successful in all levels. We usually have to go away to compete because there is a small community here that hasn't had the opportunity to really grow yet and have our own competitions here. Normally we fly to Halifax or somewhere in Ontario to compete, and then teams usually in the higher levels try to compete at those competitions for bids to Cheerleading Worlds, which is in Florida. So not anyone can go to Worlds. You do actually have to be invited or win a bid to go there. So that's just a little bit of, I guess, some details. Hopefully that kind of gives a bit of an idea of what we're talking about. But yeah, so I got my start in grade 7 when I was 12, and I cheered for my high school team until I graduated. I think there might have been 1 year that we didn't have a team. And then I actually started helping with the junior high team when I was in grade 10. And then I ended up coaching it with a couple other girls my age in 2011. We were so young that we needed an adult to chaperone. But yeah, so I coached that until 2017. That was about 8 years altogether that I coached that team. And then aside from that, I started coaching All-Star in 2014, I believe. And I coached youth age and junior age. Each year it kind of switched. And then I coached All-Star until 2020 when the pandemic hit. So that's my coaching history. Aside from my high school team being on that until grade 11 or 12, I started All-Star, and then I did that until 2017 or 2018. So there was a good 5 years of All-Star cheerleading. There was one point where I was on 2 teams. I was coaching a high school team. I was working a million jobs, but that's another story for another time. And yeah, so all of that together took up a lot of time. And so that's why it's really hard for cheerleaders to stay out of retirement when they stop coaching or when they stop being an athlete, because you spend so much time doing it and you have such a love for the sport that it's really hard to stop. I tried to quit a couple times but a lot of good friends of mine were coming back, and it had this potential to be a great team. And then the second time there was a rec team where we weren't going to go compete. We were just going to, do it to have fun and to do showcases. And I was almost done coaching, and then a new gym opened up. So there's always something, and in general, it's the love of the sport that brings you back to it. But also your friends and teammates who you spent all that time with as well. And we're seeing with this new gym, a lot of people come out of retirement. A lot of people start coaching again after a couple of years away. And then you have some people like me who are just coming back to work on the desk and do some admin and still be a part of it in other ways, which is really fun. And I've truly gained a lot of my best friends from being in cheerleading. I don't know where I would be without it. The connections I made through it. And that's like anyone with any sport, like the friendships and the connections that you make later lead you to other opportunities. So I'm thankful for that, but I'm very, very thankful for a lot of my best friends. Anyways, I have been talking way too long, and I don't think I even like the sound of my own voice yet. Not sure why I'm doing a podcast, but let's talk to my friends from Cheersport Sharks. So I'm talking to Cassi and Emily from Cheersport Sharks. And I guess we'll start off by just saying your names and your age and your position at the new gym.
Yeah. I'll go first, I guess. I'm Emily Chater, and I'm 26. I'm turning 27 in the fall, and I am the owner of Cheersport Sharks Newfoundland.
Yay! I'm Cassi Flynn. I am 25, and I am the gym director is my role at the gym.
Awesome. And then you guys also have a bunch of tumbling coordinators and a lot of other people helping out, right?
Yes.
Wicked. What's your history with cheerleading, either as an athlete or coaching?
My history as an athlete is minimal. I was an athlete on Holy Spirit High School cheerleading team from grade 9 to 12. Once I graduated, I took over the team, and that's when my coaching career started. So I've been coaching Holy Spirit now since 2013. And there was a time I coached Ascension Collegiate with Cassi, and I coach St. Paul's Junior High now. I started coaching All-Star in 2013 as well with Tiny Mini at one of the gyms, and I kept going and until I'm still going at it. So I have lots of experience in Tiny Mini and youth. That's where I kind of hung around for most of my all-star cheerleading coaching career so far. And this year I coached junior for the first time. I've never coached senior just because Holy Spirit gives me that senior vibe. Scholastic is my favorite cheerleading.
Yeah, I think in all my episodes, I'm going to say how I know the people that I'm talking to, if I do know them prior. But Emily, I think we must have met when we were both coaching high school teams because I coached Holy Trinity forever.
Yeah.
So I think that's my first memory of you. And Cassi, I feel like you were just always around T&E when I was cheering. And then we actually ended up coaching together 5 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wildfire babies.
Yeah, also babies.
Yeah.
I will throw out, I do love All-Star, obviously, but my love of cheerleading has grown from Scholastic.
Right.
I have a very special place in my heart for Scholastic cheerleading, so.
Yeah, me too, because that's how I got my start, really.
Yeah, and I like it because it is volunteer, and I think it does give people the option who want to be involved in cheerleading but either can't afford it or can't put in the time commitment to All-Star. It gives them the opportunity to still be involved.
Yeah, definitely. And Cassi, what about you?
Oh, yeah. So I started cheerleading when I was 12. I was actually basically forced into it. So I showed up to a practice that I was just going to my friend's house afterwards to hang out, and I hated cheerleading. I was one of those haters. So I was just like, no, hate cheerleading. I'll come watch, but then we'll go hang out at your house. And then it just so happened to be a flyer tryout that day, and I just so happened to be like literally the smallest little thing on earth. So I think they set me up, and then they all started chanting my name and like forced me to try out. And then it's just been history since then. So I haven't stopped ever since. So I've coached, I think, every single level now. My heart lies with like the senior age group. So I love coaching like high school specifically, and then also high school aged kids. So I just like the challenge that comes with dealing with like their changing personalities and being able to be like a constant for them. And then as an athlete, I still athlete. So I'm still on one cheer and trying out again this season. They'll never be able to get rid of me. So I'm on my 3rd degree just so I can stay on the team. And I've been to Worlds 8 times through the various different worlds. So University Worlds and All-Star Worlds. And then recently, I lived in England along with Emily, but I coached cheerleading when I was in England, and I coached the like University of Sheffield team and the like Sheffield County team. So we went to a competition in Germany, and that was like a huge like international competition, super exciting for me. And we ended up winning like level champs and grand champs. So that was like probably the biggest competition I've coached at. So I'm looking forward to this season coaching at the higher level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were there coaching.
Yeah, it was very fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you've been to Worlds like
so many times. Yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you've been on one forever. You're on your 3rd degree. What degrees do you already have? And what degrees are you getting?
So I have a Bachelor of Science, and I also did my Master's of Science in Neuroscience. And now I'm doing my PhD in medicine. So I'm a neuroscientist researcher in Alzheimer's disease, which has nothing to do with cheerleading. And obviously I'm not actually doing that to stay on MUN because it's a huge commitment. I'm not becoming a doctor to be on MUN, but it does help.
Yeah. That's too funny. And Emily, what is your education?
Well, it wasn't a straight path, but I have a Bachelor of Arts in Law and Society from MUN, and then I have my JD from the University of Leicester, so my law degree. I also completed half a nursing degree before all this, and then switched to law. And then I graduated last spring from law school, and I worked for the full summer, and then I had a change of heart. Well, it wasn't really a change. I've always wanted to do this, so
Right.
I was just like, you know what? This is the time.
So
here we are.
How do you finish your law degree and decide I'm going to open a cheer gym?
Yeah, that channel is definitely not one that like is normal. So I've wanted to open up a cheer gym for as long as I can remember, or have a cheerleading program. Basically, 5 years ago, I wanted to. Like, I had the idea. I was quite young and just wasn't the right time. I was, like, in the middle of my undergrad, and I didn't know, like, what I was doing after my undergrad, so I just put that aside and finished MUN, and then applied to law school and got in. So I was like, okay, perfect. Like, gonna be a lawyer. Great. Fantastic. And then when I was away for law school, I went to England, like, to do law school, and then the pandemic hit, so I only got 1 year over there, and then I did the second year online. And, like, finished it. Like, I had a great time over there. I really enjoyed all the material, and I was working, and I did enjoy working in the field. But I just, like, the passion just wasn't there, and the opportunity presented itself to open up a cheerleading gym, and I took it. And here we are today with the
2 weeks in.
2 weeks in, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, because I remember, like, seeing that you were doing that, and then when you were opening this, I was like, how does that happen? But so part of this podcast too, and like talking to different people, is how you end up to be doing what you're doing, which is not necessarily what you planned to do.
Yes.
So once you decided you were going to do it, what was like an obstacle or Like, was there surprises?
Yes, to say the least. So some obstacles have, I guess the number one obstacle at the beginning was the fact that I am like a female trying to find a building when I would say that the majority of buildings are owned by grown men. And I was faced with a lot of basically like, this is ridiculous. No, there's one building actually that we were looking at and we couldn't even get in to view it because they heard what we wanted to do with it. And I had to get someone else who is like a male, like one of my parents' friends, to call and set up a booking for him because the landlord wouldn't show it to us.
Wow.
Yeah. So my real estate agent was actually a female and she is a powerhouse. So I'm so glad that she was like along with us for the journey because she was not letting up either because she also would have faced obstacles in that industry being a female real estate, like commercial real estate agent. So she worked with us. Like she definitely was nearing blocking my number with the amount of texts and calls and emails that were being sent from my end being like, what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? So I say total, we looked at 15 spots, and then we thought we found one, and it was great, and then it wasn't great. So then we had to go out on the hunt again, and it was like I was driving, well, it was actually my sister who found the building, so we were driving down Tops of Road, and she was like, what about that building? And I was like, that'll never work, like, not a chance. And then it was just, like, desperation. I was like, I need to find a building. And we viewed it, and I was like, okay, this is it. Show me the papers, signed.
Yeah.
And that's how we have it.
And it's the perfect spot for it. Like, I think that worked out very well.
Yes. Like,
it is the nicest cheer gym I've ever been in.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those instances where we were looking in the wrong area. Like, our mindset for cheerleading gyms was, like, warehouse space, like, in an industrial park, that's it. When we would never think of like finding one on like a main road, especially like an old car dealership.
Right.
And so, because like you're just like, oh my gosh, the price is like, that's what you're looking at. Like the price is obviously cheaper in a warehouse space than it is in a frontal facing building right on a main road. So yeah, when we found it, I was like, okay, this is it. And then I didn't want to get my hopes up just because every other building like was like a disappointment, but
yeah.
Here we are, and I'm obsessed with it. And the building manager is like a gem to work with, so it's been great.
Yeah, and it looks too good now to be on some back road somewhere. Like that needs to be on the main road. It's so nice, so nice.
Yes.
So before talking to you guys, I was just saying how like cheerleading is such a big community here, but it's also such a small community. Like someone said to me the other day, when I was talking about all this opening, that you don't know what's going on in the community unless you go looking for it, which is so true because I stopped coaching 2 years ago and I can't tell you anything that happened with anything. I don't know. And even the sport itself, like I don't know the divisions anymore. I don't know the levels anymore. I don't know the rules. Like I don't know anything. But where it is like a smaller community, why open a third gym in this region? Because I'm sure some athletes and parents and coaches are wondering.
Yes.
Realistically, I think it had to do with like the growth that we could get from it. So I think what we had here like was great, but you know, can only be so big when it's just kind of confined to what we know in Newfoundland. So I think like the opportunity to get, I guess, bigger and better based off of the resources that we can get from elsewhere, when that presented to Emily like that, just made sense because Newfoundland cheerleading is so great, but has kind of been very similar year after year after year because we're doing the same thing and it's always the same people. Like there's no new real coaches coming in. It's always similar people. So I think it's important that we can branch out and get those resources. And then once that was able to be done, it kind of was just a no-brainer that we can provide that to the Newfoundland cheerleading community.
Right. Yeah, and I heard someone else say that there's room for 3 gyms here, possibly more. And I was just curious. I do this a lot where I look up stats of the population in this province, especially now that I'm doing this. in like relation to a lot of different industries and stuff like that. But there's actually 80,000 kids under the age of 18 living in this province. And I'm not sure how many athletes you expect to have in a cheer gym. I mean, do you have an estimate of how many athletes you would want to have, or how much we do have signed up already?
Yeah, like we have an estimate based on like we weren't looking at what was already here. Our goal was to like grow it. Like we weren't opening a cheer gym to just have the same kids stay in the program. Like we wanted to open up a new cheerleading gym so other kids who had never been in the program before, families who had never heard of cheerleading before, found out about us and wanted to bring their athlete there. And I always compare it to dance. So like I have a heavy dance background, and there is literally a dance school on every corner in the province, and they're all successful. So I don't think that there is just room for one or two or three or however many. I think that there's always room for more, and that was why we did it. Like there's more kids out there. Like we did a lot of research on how many people are in the area and the demographic and all of those things. And we just knew that it was necessary in the region.
And for a bit of context, like out at I coach Ascension in Bay Roberts, and every single year at tryouts, we have over 100 kids show up, like from 90 to 120. And these are all kids that have never cheerleaded before and are only grades 10 to 12. So like we have about maybe 5 to 6 kids that have ever done cheerleading before. And then there's 100 others who just want to be involved. So I think that like there's so many kids that want to take part in this. And I feel like Emily said, like there's so many opportunities for just to get these kids in the doors.
Right.
And the more we have, like the better. I don't see it as a bad thing to have more gyms in the province. I think it's super important because then we can build and help each other and compete against each other and have competitions where we can all go to. And then we're not complaining like, oh, we can only compete once a year because we have to fly to Halifax to do so. Like, I don't think that that's necessary. And I feel like now we can build on what we have here in the province.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, and we've always had a lot of school teams that compete against each other.
Yeah.
So there is, I mean, there's definitely the population to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And like compared to like the other areas, like I would compare it to New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. Like they're not much bigger than us, and they have many, many, many gyms. Like I could list like 6 that are in Nova Scotia.
Right. Yeah.
And it's
I have friends in
like,
Calgary and like Toronto, Ottawa.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. There's so many, like per,
yeah.
I guess like in any given radius, there's X amount of cheer gyms.
And there has to be options. It's the same as like stores at a mall. Like you have to have options for the different people and different families. Like what one family wants and works for them might not work for another family. So it's also just giving these other families who might have not been able to go somewhere else due to XYZ can now come to us because we offer something different or something that works with their schedule better.
Right. And so with Cheersport Sharks, this is a franchise. So do we know how many gyms they have in total?
Yeah, so they have 8 in Canada and 1 in America. And so they have 4 4 corporate locations and 4 franchises that were other gyms, and then they turned into Cheersport Sharks gyms, and then us, which is the first standalone Cheersport Shark gym that wasn't a gym previously.
Right. And what's the benefit of being under that franchise? Obviously, they have 20-something years of experience doing this. Yeah.
So my business partner and I, when we first, the first couple of months discussing this, he asked, would you do this without Cheersport? And I said, absolutely not. The backing of Cheersport, the name of Cheersport, just what they can bring to the table and what they do bring to the table on an international level is just unbelievable. I've been a fan for many, many, many years. I've been to 3 of their locations up in Ontario, and everything that they do is just I would say near perfection. Their branding, their social media, their teams, the way that they carry themselves, their professionalism, it's just like beyond. And I knew that if I was going to open up a cheerleading gym, I wanted it to be a Cheersport Sharks.
Yeah, that makes sense. So obviously kids and teenagers overhear a lot of things and they hear things from parents and their friends. So what is like a fib or something that you've heard someone say or someone ask you?
Well, it hasn't just been athletes. So some crazy ones is that I failed at a law school, and that is why I'm doing this, because I have nothing else now.
Oh.
But that is very far from the truth. I graduated top of my class, so I didn't attend my convocation because it was in the middle of the pandemic, but I did graduate literally top of my class, so I didn't fail out. I finished my degree.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
And also, it's not like this is something to fall back on. Like, this is
Yes.
a full venture. That's too funny. Is there anything that you both wish that you could say to athletes and parents? Because we've had over how many kids come in through the doors since our grand opening 2 weeks ago?
Oh my God, yeah.
Hundreds?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, the grand opening alone was 600 that day. And like every Tuesday we see about 300 more. So thousands, I'd say.
Right. And new people
Yeah.
every time.
Mostly new people.
Mostly new people, honestly. Like most of these kids that are coming through the doors are new people, new to cheer, don't know anyone, don't know anything going on in the cheer community. They just want to be a part of it. And they just come in like excited with their little
Right.
bows on. Don't got a clue what's going on. So cute.
It is so cute.
Yeah, so sweet. I see so many. So obviously I'm working on the desk and I see so many coming in so excited, and even some who are nervous, but they're still so like excited and happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, is there anything else that you wish people knew about the gym or the program or you?
I would just say like our main goal and priority in the gym and surrounding the gym culture is the athletes, like the athlete development and the happiness, which then transfers over into the family happiness and sense of belonging within the Shark family is our number one priority. We want kids to literally just come into cheerleading, live their best life, and then go home and want to be coming back. Like, cannot wait for their next time that they're in the gym. And that has been the culture that's started already within these short 2 weeks. Like, kids are coming through the door and being like, I'm back. And us being like, yay, like, we're so happy to see you. Like, this is amazing. They're like, we want to move in. Like, these are the responses that we're getting. So the vibes that we set out to implement have been implemented, which is good. And now it's just carrying that on. I always say that I'm bringing the love of cheerleading back to the children. And because in the end, the focus is the athletes and our families. And so that is my only focus, is those two elements, is the families and their shark, their baby, their little shark.
I think it helps a lot too that like Emily is so passionate about it. Like, she's not coming at this just to start a business. Like, this is her whole life career and goal. Like, her screensaver has been a cheer gym owner for like 15 years, like her screensaver on her phone. So if you know Emily, like, this is like her whole life passion. And I think the fact that it's coming from a place of like passion for cheerleading and passion for children, like, that's going to carry over into like what we do want to form and grow inside our building.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And I totally agree. And I totally understand that, because I stopped coaching 2 years ago and I stopped athleting a couple years before that. And yeah, when I did stop, mostly because of COVID and we couldn't travel and we couldn't practice and my heart just wasn't in it. But that was one reason, but my heart wasn't in it because it became more about all these other things than it was about cheerleading.
Yeah.
Whether that was with the athletes themselves, with parents, with, whatnot. It just was not about coaching a group of kids and getting a skill or making them happy or doing something productive.
Yeah.
It was exhausting sometimes to go there and to leave when that wasn't the main goal anymore. Because when I coached school cheerleading, that's what it was. Like, everyone wanted to be there. Everyone was so happy to be there. They all became such good friends. And that's why that is a reason why they keep coming back. And so when it's about a lot of drama or exaggerating certain situations, then it takes away from the sport.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why, like, I want the best for everyone involved, including my staff and my coordinators and my athletes and the parents and everyone. And that's why I'm literally pouring my heart and soul into it. Last Saturday, I literally cried all day long, just out of, like, pure happiness. Like, I could not stop crying. And, like, it's not, like, I'm literally just, like, so happy that I am doing this. Like, I know deep down that my passion for cheerleading is, like, super deep. Like, you can like, I'll sit home and watch cheerleading for hours. Like, I can mark every routine for you, like, all these things. Like, I go to Worlds, not as an athlete, and I never will go as an athlete or have gone as an athlete. I go to watch because I'm obsessed with cheerleading. And not just, like, the elements of cheerleading, but, like, the way that these people run their gyms, the coaching staffs, like, all these different things. And I've been following it for years.
Yeah, I think it needs to be looked at as it's adding something to the community, not taking away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you're doing it too, because I would not have gotten back into the cheer world if you hadn't.
Yes, yeah, I'm loving our Desk Divas. But yeah, everyone is a part. Like, that's why our staff is huge. We had so many people apply. Like, there was over 150 people who applied in, I think it was February. I released the the application, and we had over 150 people apply then, and applications are still coming in now. And my goal was to have as many people involved, because it does take a village. And I've attended some Cheersport Sharks practices before, and I wouldn't be able to tell you who was coaching what team, because there's so many people on the mat coaching these teams, and it just gave, like, this very inclusive vibe. So I said to everyone in the interview process, like, we want you to be able to show up at 5:30 for your team, and if you want to stay till 9:30, 10:30 and watch the other teams, you shouldn't feel like, oh, I have to ask, or this will be odd, or whatever. You should just feel like, you know what? I'm staying. Like, there shouldn't even be a second thought about it, because we want everyone involved and there, and everyone familiar with everyone's faces, so that we can lean on each other when we need to, because obviously some people have different strengths and weaknesses, and that's what we need to, like, utilize to grow.
Right. And if I'm right, we did not turn away any volunteers or staff, and we are not turning away any athletes.
Absolutely. Everyone is welcome, and that's why, like, background, anything, we are welcome. Like, you are welcome at the island. And I say that to everyone. I've had, like, messages come in from people in the cheerleading community that might work somewhere else, and I just say, like, you're always welcome, like, at our gym, like, because that's what we want. We want everyone to find a place there, whether that's just popping in for a look around or popping in to watch their friend at open gym or anything like that. You're always welcome.
Right. Okay, so I'm always going to end, this is only my second episode.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to end episodes with a piece of advice. So either something that you've both learned through this process, or advice someone has given you that you always reshare to someone else.
I got one. I live by mine. So, like, I'm a neuroscientist and a female, so all of those things present challenges. So once someone told me that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So if you're comfortable, like, where you are, you're in the wrong place, and you need to keep pushing. You need to keep growing. And I think that's really, really relevant here, because it's exactly what we're doing. Like, we were all comfortable, and we were all, you know, some of us were going to be the smartest people in the rooms that we walked into, and we were okay with that. But I think we need to expand the room. We need to add more people to the room, expand the room, and learn and be able to learn from each other and from people who are, like, leaders in this industry, and be able to learn from them as well. So it's super relevant here, and that's definitely what I would tell people. Like, if you feel like you are the smartest person around, like, that's not the attitudes you should have really ever anyways. But if you do feel like you're above the people that you're next to, or you're not learning anymore, gaining any more knowledge from the people you're surrounding yourself with, then you need to change rooms and expand on what you're doing.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, and that fits to anything. That fits with like your job. It fits if you're an athlete of any kind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I live by it, especially obviously in the science world. Like, I'm never going to be the smartest person in the room, and like that's what I want. Like, I want to keep growing and learning, and there's always so much to learn, and in cheerleading as well.
Yeah.
Emily, do you have any advice?
Yes. My advice is, well, I've applied it now throughout this whole process. So I wouldn't say I'm like a soft person, but I definitely take things to heart. So someone told me at the beginning of this, like, you got to get thick skin. And I did. Ever since that this was announced in February, I've definitely thickened up my skin, and I haven't been taking anything people have been saying to me, if it's negative or inappropriate, to heart, or that it's about me. That's them as a person. That doesn't reflect me. So being able to do that has definitely benefited me as an individual. So whenever someone writes me or says something to me that is a little nasty, I just say like, thank you, or like, okay, and like move on past it, because I don't engage in it, and I don't need to. Yeah. So I have thick skin now.
We have more important things to be doing now. We got hundreds of kids to put on teams and coach, and yeah,
and that's why like my main focus has been my business. I'm not worried about anything outside noise or anything like that, and that has been obviously very beneficial, and it's evident in the amount of people that have come through the doors in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So when this comes out, I think it's going to be Friday. It'll be the Friday before tryouts. So can you tell us the dates of tryouts, what the deal is?
Yes, so tryouts are running from May 24th to the 29th. Our tryouts are free, so we don't want to have a barrier there for anyone who is interested in cheerleading, because we know like if they're like $20, $25 or whatever, it could be like, it could turn someone away. So they're free, and there's 2 time slots per age group, so you can sign up on our website. And on May 30th, we will have our Bite Night, which is our team reveal. It's a huge extravaganza party type event. And we have a lot of things planned that are super fun. So, and then we have a full week of registration to help our families register and get all set up. And then our practices start June 6th.
So exciting.
I know.
And everyone makes a team.
Everyone makes a team. Yep.
Everyone.
I love it. Well, I'm so excited. Like I said, I think this is just going to add to the cheer community here. It's bringing a lot of people out of retirement and out of, like, I mean, me, even though I'm not coaching anymore. And yeah, so it's like you said, we are getting a lot of those new people, and we're bringing some people back. And yeah, it's really fun.
It's been a blast.
Yeah, it has. I'm living my best life, I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, we all are.
Yeah, and that's what I love. Like, I love the messages the messages that we have been receiving are just so sweet. And, like, both from people who have been in cheerleading for many years or people who are brand new. And it just, like, reassures that, like, we're doing something positive in the cheerleading community.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, that's all the questions I had. And thank you guys for talking to me.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for everyone to hear about this.
I know.
And see more of cheer in Newfoundland.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, thanks to Emily and Cassie for talking to us about the new cheer gym opening here in St. John's. I'm really excited for everyone to see it. Everyone who has come in so far has been loving the building, loving the gym, and it's been a fresh start for a lot of people. It's like I said, it's brought a lot of people back from retirement. It's brought in a lot of new faces, and it's reconnected a lot of people at the same time. I really liked both of the pieces of advice that they gave, because it doesn't just relate to cheerleading or your job. It can relate to all sorts of things. And there's never anything wrong with wanting to learn more or wanting to expand or wanting to try new things. And, as a young woman, sometimes it's hard. I was really surprised at the fact that, some people didn't believe in this or didn't want to give it a chance because it was a young woman running it. But I think it's just a good lesson for anyone, especially if there's anyone younger listening. I know some of our athletes might be listening. Basically, anyone who's ever done anything and been successful at it had to take a chance at it. And there was probably a lot of people saying that you shouldn't do it or you shouldn't try or it's not going to succeed. And if everyone had that mindset and listened to negative people who tell you that something's not going to go well, then we wouldn't have anything great. So I'll end that there. Actually, I won't. Here's my advice for today. If someone is questioning your choices, you need to ask yourself why. And if it's from a caring, helpful, constructive criticism type of way, maybe listen to it. Maybe there's something that you need to think about. But most of the time, there's a reason that they're feeling some kind of way. And if their support or their friendship is contingent on what you're doing for them or how your choices benefit them, then you probably need to question the relationship and the friendship. And I will actually leave that there. The reason I felt it was necessary to talk about it was because, not just because I'm involved in any way, but because unfortunately there are people who say negative things and people who don't understand the full story. And that's why we're here. That's why we're kind of hearing other people's sides to the story. And like we were saying, this is just something to add to the community. And it also gives us the opportunity to have more provincial competitions. We usually only compete once a year or have one event at the end of the year. And now we have a bigger community with more people and more opportunity to practice to compete when we do go away. And like we said, no one is turned away in terms of coaches, volunteers, athletes. So if you are interested, or maybe if you have some kids who are interested, there are teams that are non-competitive, and there's also different classes, and there's summer camp, and there's a couple different things. So it's not just to be on a competitive cheerleading team for a year. So if you are interested, you can find Cheersport Sharks Newfoundland on Instagram. That's at Cheersport Sharks NL. And then cheersportsharks.com. So if you're interested, you can check it out there. You can also pop in for a tour. One of us would be happy to show you around because the place is too good not to see. And you can reach out there with any questions. Okay, so next time for episode 3, we're going to be talking to one of my best friends, Allison Stoodley. We did not meet through cheerleading. It's actually kind of a funny story of how we met and how we kind of rekindle our friendship. So we're going to talk about that next time. If you know anything about her, you know that she wears many hats. She's lived in Newfoundland. She's lived in Toronto. She came back to Newfoundland, and then she went to Calgary, which is where she is now. So we're going to be talking to her about a couple different things, mostly getting outside of your comfort zone because she's had to do it a couple times, and just how little decisions or small things can completely change the course of your life or your career path. And yeah, so I'm really excited to talk to her. I'm having her on so early because there's so much that she can speak on. And so I know that she's going to come back for future episodes. So that'll be next time. If you have any comments on this episode or any questions for the next one, please reach out. And if you know anyone who has cool stories or is involved with a local business or organization, let me know. And you can find me on Instagram at Newfound Happy Hour and on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So anyways, I've given way too much advice today. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.